Hey everyone, it is Shannon, and it is time for 31 Days of Horror 2019, and today we are talking about Get Get Out. My goodness, this was definitely one of my most anticipated watches for this year, and maybe even last year, possibly last year, all the years ever since I heard about it. Yeah, everyone loves Get Out. So let's look at some of the details. This is written and directed by Jordon Peele, who won the Oscar for original screenplay for this film. My goodness gracious, a horror movie winning an Oscar. That's extraordinary. That's extraordinary. I didn't know that going in, actually. I didn't know that until I looked it up afterwards. This stars Daivd Kaluuya, Allison Williams, Catherine Keener, Bradley Whitford, and Little Ray Howery. It came out in 2017. It is definitely a horror movie. I would also classify it as a thriller. It is arguably also a mystery, and I would also put it in drama because, like, yeah, yeah, I don't know why, actually. Why would I say? Well, because I think it's a drama. That's why. I'm gonna give this an 8 out of 10, and I am gonna do a spoiler zone because there is one thing that I felt like, if I get some help on clarification, it can make it a 9 out of 10. And overall, I would give it a 4.5 out of 5, even though I gave it an 8 out of 10, regardless of whether the 8 goes to a 9. And I would give it half a heart. I would give it half a heart. This one I need to think about it a little bit more because it's very complicated. It's very complicated. And I felt my reaction to it feels a bit complicated too. And there was one piece I was like, So anyway, okay, so Get Out. So this is definitely a horror movie. So in this film, we follow a black man who goes to visit his white girlfriend's parents, and things just feel a little bit strange, just a little, unsettling. And, I honestly, this is one film that I don't know how much I can actually even say about it without going into details. I had actually I didn't hear a spoiler per se, but because this is, for me at least, has been so part of pop culture in terms of the amount of people I know that watch horror, and the fact probably that it was nominated for an Oscar, there were a couple of things that I have seen, a couple of memes, a couple of quotes, a couple of moments that I didn't understand what the references were at the time, but definitely sort of spoiled me a little bit on the film. Not to a bad extent, but if you are a fan of horror, you have to see this. This is definitely on the horror completionist list without question. Also, if you like drama, I think it's actually quite, I don't know, in terms of the violence and some of the stuff, I don't think it can appeal to just anyone, but I think it's interesting because it is saying something, I think it's saying something, and so that's what puts it in the land of drama, like that there is some commentary, but can be pretty gruesome, and it is very disturbing in terms of the some of the things that happen and some of the themes. I would actually say the themes are the most disturbing in a lot of ways. So it's not for everyone. I feel like this is not something I can widely recommend, but I really wish that I can, because I think this was well worth watching, and I was uncomfortable watching it, and that is part of the point. Which is what made me, eventually feel like I needed a little time to sit with this one. But yeah, so I guess I pretty quickly have to go. What else can I say without going into the spoiler territory? The acting is great. The acting is really good by the entire cast, but especially the main guy. The writing is very well done. And obviously it won the Oscar, but it's not like, I think like there's the idea, which is like messed up, but like brilliant and like, creepy and all that stuff, and well done. But it's also, the pacing is really good. How things are laid out, the moments of uncomfortableness, both from the writing's perspective and the language and stuff like that, as well as from the acting. Given this is a writer-director who brought us this film, like, he gets kudos for both of that, because the writing gives us the pacing in terms of, what we see when, but then the directing is, who gets those moments from the actors, and the acting was really well done as well. So atmospherically, this was really good, and it really treads that uncomfortable line of like the line of uncomfort. When do you say something? When do you not say something? Does it depend on who you're talking to? Does it depend on how many number of incidences? Does it depend on who else is there, who you are in the situation, who they are in the situation? And all of those complicated dynamics are all really, really explored in this one and presented in this one in a very interesting way. So I would just recommend it again, but you know, if you're not a horror fan, the level of like gruesome and violence stuff, could be a barrier, and it also was disturbing. I don't always remember to ask the question, do I find it scary, but I did find this one scary, especially from the perspective of the idea was definitely scary, and also some of the visual depictions of things were like, whoa, creepy, like really, like it really, a sense of helplessness was very well achieved in this film. So okay, I guess I have to go to spoiler territory because I don't know how much more I can say without saying stuff in specifics. And I don't know how much in spoiler territory that I will talk about that. But here we go into the land of spoiler territory. I guess I can start with, oddly, the thing that I couldn't figure out, which was, okay, so this is like, the idea is so messed up and so uncomfortable, and so the tension that they have with him being at his girlfriend's parents and the things that they say and how they come back to be interpreted differently. The thing that, and because they're just slightly, you know, every once in a while, like, or more often than not, there is something that is just that edge of inappropriate, but then someone else will call it out and be like, oh, I'm so sorry, I apologize for what he said. And it's like, nah, it still doesn't mean it's okay that he said it, and all this kind of stuff. But for me, one of the things, and they often quickly will cut to or go or move on, so you're left going like, that felt a bit weird. Did that feel a bit weird? That felt a bit weird. But then you're already into the next situation. And for me, the part that I found confusing, so this is where it could go from an 8 to a 9. Because when he's getting the tour from the dad and they bring him into the kitchen and they say, we kept a piece of our grandmother here, and then he moves on to say something that, you know, and so you don't know what the piece is, but then later it becomes revealed, I think, so this is where I need help here, I think it becomes revealed that sort of the brain or consciousness of the grandmother is apparently in, I believe her name was Georgina, so that there was some kind of transference that they kept her in the woman who does, I guess she's the cook. And I was just like, really? Is that what's going on? Because it's hard to tell what's really going on. Like, it skirts that edge of bizarreness, but then you eventually come to see that all of the Black people presented don't seem to be at choice, to put it bluntly. So, you know, initially it's just thought to be the hypnotism, but then it goes like 12,000 steps further, and it kind of looks like their bodies are taken over by someone who wins the auction. I guess the both the groundskeeper and the cook are supposed to be the grandparents, and then I don't know, or maybe that didn't happen for everyone. There was the guy who was the friend at the party, or was the guy at the party that the protagonist recognized. He ended up knowing before he was changed. But that's the part I didn't understand. I thought they were being hypnotized and kept there without their will. That sort of felt like where the story was going. But then it felt like there was brain transference, and there was clearly, going to be brain transference. So that's the part I didn't understand. And if that was the grandmother, were they battling to control the body? Were they still under hypnotism? Did they really feel like they were spending time with their grandmother? Or was it just like, a way that the grandmother could live on. That's the part that I found confusing. And then also the grandfather as well, and the groundskeeper, who it was clear that it was because his grandfather was a championship runner, and we saw groundskeeper running, and then it became clear. So I didn't understand how the trapped consciousness or the trapped brain in the other body was a benefit. So I found that part of the story just a little hard to match. But honestly, that's, even though that is sort of like the reveal and the resolve and all those things, I did not feel it was as important as the amazing amount of tension and acting that was with all of the characters, and in that, you know, presenting that situation where, you know, situation after situation where things are a little uncomfortable and going a little too far, but you're not going to say anything out of politeness, and but that's too far, you know, or very close to being too far, and like just that edge and the fear, the fear you felt, the scaredness. And that's why I think that this poster is really great, as well as some of the other images, but this one's more spoiler free. You know, the fear you feel of his character, and the pushing the boundary of, or pushing, like just not even caring that you're pushing someone past choice, because with the hypnotism, you know, it's very clear that she hypnotized him because she's asking him about how his mom passed away, and he previously said he didn't want to tell her, didn't want to talk about it, and then, you know, he did. So it was clear to us as the audience, she's gone too far, she's hypnotizing him. And yeah, and then just like, wow, the finale, the climax, and all, like that whole showdown and all that stuff, whoa, that's why I can't recommend it to non-horror people, because it was so violent and it was so bloody and it was so gruesome. But it's like, oh my gosh, like you're just rooting for him, because it's just like these, just so many boundaries pushed, and you just like, yeah, no, pushing back. And wrong, because hypnotism and taking away someone's choice is never okay. It's very clear, never okay. So yeah, I thought it was really great. It did, I was uncomfortable watching it. I'm not gonna lie. But I think that that is part of the point. And so that's one of the reasons why I decided to stick it out and also to review it as well. I do feel like it didn't quite meet my expectations, just because of that one piece of not understanding the body thing, and the consciousness thing. Or it could have been like, you know, the surgery has come further, and it is a bit woo, like to think that you can just like take someone's brain or take someone's whatever. So you know, and they didn't go too much into that in terms of like the paranormal or supernatural. They mostly stuck with the tangible and, well, you know, hypnotism, but people, you know, do hypnotism. So anyway, so I thought it was well worth watching. I'm glad that I watched it. I'm glad that I stuck it out. I'm glad that I reviewed it, but it was uncomfortable, but I think it's supposed to be. And yeah, great performances all around, and really well done. So let me know your thoughts on Get Out. If you do leave spoilery thoughts, please put spoilers and hit enter a few times so just people don't come across them, because I think it's well worth watching without knowing it. For me, I just heard about don't drink the tea, I think was the thing that I had heard. So I knew it was going to be something with the tea. But he actually didn't drink the tea, so it kind of worked out, but it was kind of like trying to spot the moment. So, but it ended up okay. Oscar winning, amazing horror movie. That's pretty awesome. So there you go. Get Out. Thanks for watching.